I'm already deaf in one ear from an IED, don't need the other ear gone. Firing!
The Raufoss round blasts through the wall and into the ballistic gelatin.
This should be interesting. Never done an actual test like this before. We've never actually seen it in slow motion. Obviously, the Mark 211 round penetrated that first block, no problem. The explosion started to happen on the first panel of the block. Blew out the second panel of the block, and then the gelatin block itself caught a majority of the fragmentation. The wound cavity is massive. And then the majority of the jacket, the actual tungsten steel penetrator, actually penetrated out the back end, no surprise there, and then punched through this concrete block and continued on. If there were a person back here, they would be in many pieces right now.
Ballistics expert Fernando Coelho analyzes the damage.
The blade is going about 3 inches now, and it's already in the cavity.
Coelho worked with numerous government agencies for 20 years.
There's actual cement material throughout the wound path. This is just devastating. You could have had 3 people back to back, and this round would have most likely gone through all 3.
1 mile, 1 brick wall, 3 insurgents. Gone.
I just knew I had 14 guys on the deck down there, and they were receiving fire. The distance didn't really click till, that night. Even at that distance with that round, as long as your rounds find their mark, you can definitely change the dynamics on the battlefield. Good for us, bad for them.
High in the mountains of Afghanistan, a Canadian sniper will eclipse Reichert's 1-mile kill shot, taking out a Taliban fighter 1.5 miles away.
I don't know if they just thought that today was their lucky day, but it wasn't.
The McMillan TAC-50 long-range sniper rifle. A .50 caliber round leaves the muzzle at 2,700 feet per second. A combination of power and accuracy, the TAC-50 is capable of taking out a vehicle 20 football fields away.
The very first time I fired the TAC-50 was an awakening to know that there's something out there with that much power. How would I describe it? Probably an enemy's worst nightmare.
The sniper, Rob Furlong, longest kill shot in history, 1.5 miles. March 2002. U.S. forces launch Operation Anaconda. The mission, destroy Al-Qaeda and Taliban forces in the Shah-e-Kot Valley. The terrain is rugged and unforgiving, the mountains filled with enemy fighters. Furlong is part of a Canadian sniper team attached to U.S. Special Forces.
It's pretty humbling coming into somebody's home turf. Pushing into that valley that day, I'm almost in awe. We're moving into a fishbowl, and we could see all these Taliban fighters. They're up on the higher ground. I had no experience in operating in those kind of altitudes.
Furlong's weapon, the McMillan TAC-50, a sniper rifle with a max effective range of 2,190 yards.
The very first target we engaged was 1,500 meters. That was the closest target we would engage during Operation Anaconda. We want to be close enough to the target that we can guarantee 1 shot, 1 kill. But when you're shooting at a human-sized target at 1,500 meters, there's so many variables to take into place.
Furlong works at elevations as high as 10,000 feet. The extreme altitude has a dramatic effect on long-range shots.
Every 1,000 feet you go up, it's a whole new set of equations. Because the air's getting thinner. So therefore your muzzle velocities are increasing, your time of flight is actually shorter from the distance further down.
Winds played a huge factor with our hit ratio. Not a lot of one-round hits. Reason being is we're dealing with, at times I remember, at least 3 crosswinds. And you wait for that perfect moment. It's great if I can get the winds to die out, but how many times does 3 crosswinds die out? They don't. We were so effective. We'd shut down all resupply lines, and the guys who would try to use them would actually get down on their faces and crawl.
Within a week, Furlong runs out of his Canadian-made ammo.
We had somebody offer us American-made ammunition, and when we started using it, we noticed that it was a hotter round. We're getting a lot longer distances out of this round. You know, whether that round was a lighter round, whether it was a faster burning propellant, I don't know. Every shot that we made was new for us.
Whether the U.S. rounds are more aerodynamic or simply have a faster burning propellant, the results are dramatic. Furlong and his team take out enemy targets more than a mile away, but his longest shot is yet to come. The Shah-e-Coat Valley, mean altitude 9,000 feet.
When somebody's walking on a river valley floor, I'm up at 8,500 feet. I'm looking down. It's almost like being on the clouds, looking at someone. We had observed a 3-man Taliban team, and one of them had an RPK, which is 7.62 machine gun on shoulder. And it was decided that we would engage the Taliban fighter with the RPK on his shoulder. My partner laces the target, gives me the distance. He starts to give me bearing, wind direction. It's everything I'm using to enter in data into my scope, or in this case, what am I going to do to be able to reach that range.
You're talking about a 1.5 miles distance, and they're looking for a man-sized target on the side of a mountain. Now, that in itself is quite a feat to actually find that guy in the first place.
Furlong looks for any way to get more distance on his shot. He resorts to an old sniper trick.
It was a very warm day. We had our ammo laid out in the sun. Anything to increase range. It's not going to make a huge difference, but it will make a little difference for how propellant acts. A faster burn, allowing the round to travel slightly further.
Because of the extreme angle and the distance, Furlong uses the ambush method, leading the target or allowing it to walk into the path of the bullet.
I max out my elevation drum. My windage is maxed out. So I'm halving up my scope, and what I mean by that is I'm leading with my mil dots, but I'm also using my mil dots for elevation as well. So I'm kind of halving my scope to where I believe my point of aim is. When you have a scope, usually this is what everybody's thinking about for a point of aim. If I'm leading a target and I have a target walking from right to left, he's walking and I'm waiting for him to hit this point right here. Once that target is at my point of aim, that's when the shot's released. That's an ambush. You're not releasing on the crosshairs. You're released, this is what you're using for a point of aim, and that's 1 mil. Basically, with a 4 mil lead and a 4 mil for elevation, your point of aim roughly would be in this area.
Furlong aims 4 mils, or roughly 15 feet above, and approximately 4 mils, or 15 feet to the left of his target. These holds compensate for bullet drop, wind, and spin drift. Furlong steadies himself, takes aim, and fires.
And for my partner, it's miss. Whatever reason, when dealing with the Taliban, they didn't show a lot of fear. You would shoot at them sometimes and they wouldn't even move. And they knew they were being shot at. Like the splash would hit by their feet or an object next to them. And I don't know if they just thought that today was their lucky day, but it wasn't.
Furlong's spotter follows the vapor trail or swirl of the bullet on his first shot, then observes the splash or dirt kicked up by the round as it hits the ground.
To quantify that, if you can imagine, the observer watched a .50 caliber bullet at 1.5 miles away impact the ground, and then he called adjustments from where the bullet landed to where he knew the bullet had to be to hit the enemy.
Furlong sets up for his second shot.
They go 3 different directions, not too far, roughly 20 to 30 feet where they scatter, but I can see him.
Furlong fires his second shot. He misses, hitting the Taliban soldier's backpack.
Between the second and third, there was no correction needed. I knew exactly what had to happen, and I wanted to get that third shot downrange.
1.5 miles separate Furlong and his target. He fires. Furlong's round leaves the rifle at 2,700 feet per second. Time of flight, 4 seconds. Target eliminated.
I know he went down, but that's about it. If a .50 cal round hits you, you're not going to live to tell about it. It's a devastating round. You're talking about a projectile going through you that's roughly a little bit larger than your thumb.
Rod Furlong's 1.5 mile kill shot shatters Carlos Hathcock's previous record by 157 yards.
I knew who Carlos Hathcock was, but didn't know what the distance was. I don't know if it really has hit me. I always just took it as I was just doing my job.
Rod Furlong's record still stands today, but high in the mountains of Arizona, an ex-Navy SEAL tries to duplicate his shot from 1.5 miles away.
Ballistics is a science of the certain weapon, the certain caliber, the certain bullet.
How you can take a small piece of steel that's formed in a cone and shoot it down another tube of steel at a high rate of speed and then be accurate enough to repeat that over and over and over again.
Before that sniper pulls the trigger and delivers that shot, he must outguess Mother Nature. External ballistics is the art of that bullet handling Mother Nature. You might see a faster bullet at different elevations. With drag and gravity and other things that come into play will help the bullet hit differently. The bullet's flight path itself, understanding time of flight, understanding heat on both the bullet, the rifle, the wind. Snipers must be attuned to that.
Operation Anaconda, March 2002. One of the most extreme ballistic environments a sniper will ever face. Canadian sniper Rod Furlong battles dizzying altitudes, shifting crosswinds, and treacherous mountains. He takes out a Taliban machine gunner from 1.5 miles away. The longest kill shot in history.
I've joked about it, and maybe if I spent the next month trying to replicate it, I don't know, could I do it again? I would like to think I can. I mean, were all the stars and moons aligned that day? I don't know.